What's up, guys? Mickle here, and in this video, I want to talk about why I think it is going to be a very bad year for all the people who have predicted before in the past that big banks will never use XRP. In this video, I want to talk about that exact topic and show you why we are currently on the path to 2024 being one of Ripple's biggest years yet in terms of institutional adoption in the United States and the rest of the world. In this video, I want to break down exactly why I believe 2024 is going to be such a transformational year for not only Ripple the business, but XRP the digital asset. Guys, if you have heard people say before in the past that big institutions will never use XRP, this video will show you exactly why those people are completely wrong. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you enjoy videos just like this, make sure to take a quick second to like the video and subscribe to my channel. It's really going to help me out so much. Also, if you're in a good place to buy some XRP, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said, though, let's jump right into it right after a quick word from the sponsor of this video. So I want to start this video off and just quickly put forward the narrative that we in the XRP community have heard for a very long time now, and that is the big institutions are never actually going to use XRP. A lot of the XRP fudsters have said for a while now that essentially the big institutions working with Ripple were never actually going to use XRP, the digital asset. Essentially, they have said over and over again that the institutions working with Ripple are going to use Ripple software, but they're never actually going to touch XRP. All XRP has ever been is just a funding mechanism for Ripple, the company, so that they can sell XRP on retail and further build out their centralized products. So let's talk about how this prediction has played out thus far, and then talk about why 2024 it's going to get even worse for the people who have been saying this. So let's start off with what we know in terms of Ripple's business model today. What we know is Ripple is now only building out products in terms of their cross-border payment solution that directly uses XRP. This is something that the haters have said was never going to happen. They said that XRP was just a funding mechanism and didn't have any utility. But what we're seeing is going into 2024, actually all of Ripple's cross-border payment solutions directly use XRP. It's only Ripple's ODL business going forward now, so every single payment through RippleNet is now routed through the digital asset XRP. This fundamentally disproves the argument on its face that Ripple is never going to use XRP. What we are seeing is Ripple is using XRP more and more every single day and making it a more critical part of their payment stack. Well, what else are we seeing? We saw just the other day the Commercial Bank of Egypt is now directly using XRP for cross-border payments. Guys, this is part of a large shift we are seeing for foreign banks, foreign institutions to start adopting Ripple's technology using XRP, the digital asset. We have seen announcements almost on a monthly basis now of new central banks, new massive commercial banks, new regional banks adopting XRP. Once again, this is what the haters said was never going to happen. But what we continue to see is Ripple making massive strides in working with these regulated institutions all over the world to not only use their software, but directly use XRP, the digital asset, to help move money all around the world. And what we know is a lot of what has happened so far hasn't even been disclosed to us. A couple months ago, Ripple actually released an internal report that said they are already working with 6 central banks building CBDCs. But also in that report, they said they were working with 20 more behind the scenes that they can't disclose yet. So Ripple has made massive strides already internationally in getting big institutions, getting the big payment providers to use XRP for its full intended use case. Like I keep saying, the thing everyone said was never going to happen. And it's not happening on a small scale, right? Like I said, this is some of the biggest money in the entire world. The Egyptian bank I mentioned earlier is a bank that has over $500 billion in assets under management now using XRP. So with all that said, I also said in the intro of the video that we were going to see a significant US expansion this year. And I want to talk about exactly why I think that's the case, because so far for Ripple, the missing piece to their really domination in this entire industry has been the United States. We have seen that the Ripple SEC case turned off a lot of institutions to Ripple, the company. I mean, at the end of the day, the SEC is the scariest regulator for financial companies in the US. So if Ripple is getting sued by the SEC, that obviously prevented them from massively expanding their business in the financial capital of the world, the United States. So why do I think that's going to change big in 2024, despite the fact that the Ripple SEC case is still ongoing? Well, it comes down to a very interesting quote Brad Garlinghouse actually said earlier this year. And that quote from Brad Garlinghouse is something that's going to shock a lot of people. And that is that Coinbase's IPO significantly changed the attitude of institutions towards cryptocurrencies and cryptocurrency companies in the US. So what was Brad saying? Brad was saying that when Coinbase went public, regardless of whether or not this makes sense from a logical standpoint, Coinbase going public was a massive validation for institutions in the United States to start adopting cryptocurrency technologies. What else did he say? He also said that when Coinbase went public, many of the traditional financial institutions, the banks and money transmitters, saw the valuation that Coinbase was demanding on their IPO and instantly were terrified that they didn't have a cryptocurrency strategy. Why is that? Coinbase went public at a $40 billion valuation. Most of the financial services companies in the US right now don't even come close to that. So instantaneously, when Coinbase IPO'd, every single financial asset firm in the United States, so instantaneously upon Coinbase going public, every single board of directors in the United States who was owning a traditional financial firm that didn't have a cryptocurrency strategy had to get together and say, okay, what are we going to do in terms of crypto? Because we just saw a company appear out of nowhere that is now quadruple our size, and they've only been around for a couple years. What we saw in the United States was Coinbase's IPO let the traditional financial institutions know that crypto is here and it's real. For the first time, they saw what cryptocurrencies could do to a company's valuation, and it blew it through the roof. It skyrocketed it, and now every single one of these institutions now needed a cryptocurrency strategy. And we are seeing the same exact playbook play out with AI, so we know how this goes. All of these different financial institutions now need a cryptocurrency strategy to justify how they're going to survive in the next generation financial system. Or they're going to be in a panic that companies like Ripple and Coinbase are going to eat their lunch. Well, what has been the advantage of Ripple since day one? They are here to work with the traditional financial system. They're here to work with the traditional institutions. Ripple is there to bring them into this space age of fintech. And that is why Ripple is positioned perfectly for a US expansion in 2024. Ripple is going to be the companies to work with these institutions and help them adopt a blockchain strategy. That was always Ripple's goal. But up until now, these institutions didn't understand why they needed Ripple. They didn't understand why Ripple was going to be critical to them surviving. They simply said, hey, we don't really see any of this blockchain stuff materializing. We'll just ignore it for now. Why do we need Ripple? But for the first time ever since Coinbase's IPO, these institutions finally understood that blockchain was here in a really big way. So going into 2024, I believe Ripple is going to have significant business in the United States because Ripple has always positioned their company to help these traditional financial institutions transition into the digital age. And what we've also seen is that the Ripple SEC case that was supposed to indict Ripple, make Ripple look bad, make Ripple look like they were doing all these sketchy activities, actually did the opposite and proved to all the big institutions that Ripple is one of the most legit companies in the cryptocurrency space. The SEC right now is suing Coinbase, one of the institutions that all the traditional financial institutions think is legitimate and are now chasing, and then Ripple, who just beat the SEC and the one helping the financial institutions upgrade their infrastructure. So what we're also learning is not only that crypto is driving massive valuations, driving real business and driving real use cases, but also the whole narrative behind the SEC FUD is turning out to be nothing more than FUD. So what I believe is going to happen is 2024 is going to be the year that a lot of these big US financial institutions start saying, hey, you know what? We're not scared of this whole SEC thing anymore. We now want to work with Ripple and get ahead of our competition. Because if our competition is willing to take this risk first and work with Ripple, then we could just see more and more businesses out innovating us, driving up valuations like we saw with Coinbase and out competing us on a level of technology. What Ripple is doing is perfect for the age we're going into. They are helping the traditional financial institutions upgrade their technology to compete as we go into the digital world. What we have understood as investors in XRP since day one is these financial institutions are going to need it. But for the first time ever, they are now understanding how badly they need Ripple. Guys, this is playing out exactly how we thought it would. The big institutions all over the world were first to this. They didn't have the regulatory pressure. That's why we already see Ripple working with all the big central banks and all the big banks around the world. But for the first time ever, the US financial sector is starting to get it, and they are going to have to understand it very quickly, or they are going to be out innovated and left behind. Ripple is in the perfect place to benefit from this. They were never the company screaming down to the banks. They were never the company screaming down for governments. Instead, they were always the company working with these institutions to upgrade their infrastructure. Now these institutions finally understand why their infrastructure needs to be upgraded so badly, and I have a feeling Ripple is going to be the first company they call when it comes to building out their blockchain strategy. Anyway, guys, I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really going to help me out. And for now, Mickle out.